competition to become a teacher here used to be fierce, but fewer are aspiring to the job.
Did you know that Japan has school rules that are completely different from what we're used to? Every culture has its own traditions. And when it comes to education, Japan sets itself apart with some of the most surprising rules. While in many parts of the world, school norms are quite similar in Japan, they take things to another level. From dress codes to unusual behavior expectations, the rules in Japanese schools may seem straight out of a science fiction book. In this video, we'll walk you through 20 Japanese school rules so strange that you'll truly have a hard time believing they exist. Get ready to be amazed, because some of these rules go beyond what you could imagine. Are you ready to find out what happens inside Japan's classrooms? Join us and don't miss it. Number 20. Separate indoor and outdoor shoes. In many parts of the world, when you arrive at school, you simply enter the classroom and settle in for lessons. However, in Japan, there is an additional step that may seem unusual to those unfamiliar with Japanese culture: taking off your shoes before entering the school. This deeply rooted custom, which is common in Japanese homes, also applies to educational institutions, where every student must change into indoor shoes called uwabaki. Uwabaki are light, comfortable, and easy to put on, specifically designed for indoor use. While it may seem strange at first, this act is part of a culture of cleanliness and respect, aimed at keeping the inside of the schools spotless and free of dirt. For the Japanese, removing shoes is a sign of respect for others and the shared space. This small gesture not only reflects a tradition that has endured for generations, but also instills values of discipline and consideration for one's surroundings. Can you imagine having to take off your shoes every time you enter a building? Do you think this practice positively contributes to the school environment and helps students develop good habits? Number 19. No bringing food from home. In many cultures, it's common for parents to prepare homemade lunches for their children, ensuring a balanced and personalized diet. However, in Japan, bringing food from home to school is strictly prohibited. Instead, students are required to eat the school lunch, known as shokoku, which is more than just a meal. Shokoku is a practical lesson in nutrition and food education. The menus are carefully designed by nutritionists using fresh, organic, and unprocessed ingredients, ensuring a balanced diet that includes carbohydrates, proteins such as meat or fish, and vegetables. While the lunch cost is symbolic, about $2.50, it is highly subsidized to make it accessible to all students. Unlike other schools where lunch is served in a cafeteria in Japan, students serve and eat in their own classrooms, and they are also responsible for cleaning up afterward. This practice fosters responsibility and cooperation among students. Additionally, the quality of shokoku is so appreciated that parents often ask for the recipes from the schools. Do you think it's beneficial for all students to share the same meal? How do you think this rule impacts students' relationship with their daily food? Number 18. Boys' haircuts. No two-block cuts. In many parts of the world, the two-block haircut has become a fashion trend, admired for its clean and modern look. However, in Japanese schools, this style is completely banned. Why, you ask? Despite being popular among celebrities and considered a neat hairstyle, school authorities in Japan believe that the two-block haircut could cause accidents. The reasoning behind this strict rule is rooted in discipline and uniformity within educational institutions. It's argued that this type of haircut disrupts the established hierarchy and can distract students, thus affecting the learning environment. While this explanation may seem unconvincing, it reflects a deep desire to maintain a uniform image that encourages respect for authority. Despite the popularity of this style among public figures like actor Yusuke Isaya and others, Japanese schools prefer traditional haircuts. This approach aims to strengthen discipline and ensure that all students present a cohesive and orderly appearance. Moreover, adherence to these personal appearance rules is seen as an extension of the student's commitment to their education and school community. This regulation not only applies to haircuts, but also to other forms of personal expression that might interfere with cohesion and order in the school environment. For example, students are encouraged to maintain simple and natural hairstyles, reinforcing the idea that appearance should not distract from the main focus, learning and academic development. This rule has sparked debates both inside and outside of Japan. On one hand, some argue that such restrictions limit students' personal expression and may contribute to self-esteem issues. On the other hand, supporters of the rule argue that it promotes an atmosphere of equality and reduces distractions, allowing students to focus better on their studies. A notable case occurred in 2017 when a student was forced to dye her natural blonde hair black to comply with school rules. This led to a lawsuit for mental distress, resulting in financial compensation from the local government. However, the court ruled that the school had the right to impose this rule on hair, emphasizing the importance placed on discipline and uniformity in the Japanese educational system. Do you think this rule is fair, or do you consider it an overreach? How do such regulations impact students' personal expression? The practice of haircut rules in Japanese schools is a clear reflection of how cultural values shape everyday behavior and promote an environment of cooperation and mutual respect. Number 17. Accessories are banned in schools. In Japan, the rules regarding uniformity in schools are stricter than you might imagine. One of the most rigid aspects is the complete ban on accessories. Unlike other countries where students may adorn their uniforms with discreet jewelry or paint their nails, in Japan, piercings, painted nails, and any type of accessory like hats, caps, or headphones are strictly prohibited. The main goal behind these rules is to maintain an image of equality and avoid any distractions that might disrupt students' discipline and academic focus. Any violation of this rule can lead to severe punishments, highlighting the importance of maintaining a simple and uniform appearance. School authorities insist that students adhere to the uniform, which typically includes white socks and specific shoes, with no exceptions for additional accessories. The prohibition of accessories is deeply rooted in Japanese culture, where social cohesion and uniformity are highly valued. By eliminating accessories, schools aim to minimize individual differences and promote a unified community where all students feel equal. This not only fosters personal discipline, but also reinforces the idea that individual value comes from academic effort and behavior, not external appearance. Furthermore, this rule helps create an environment free from superficial judgments based on fashion or brands, allowing students to focus on their education without worrying about external trends or social pressures related to appearance. This rule has been the subject of criticism and debate, especially in a world where personal expression is increasingly valued. Some students and parents argue that these restrictions limit personal freedom and may affect young people's self-esteem as they seek to express their individuality. However, others defend the rule, arguing that it promotes an atmosphere of equality and respect that is essential for effective learning and personal development. There have been cases where students have faced severe sanctions for breaking these rules. For example, a student who tried to wear large earrings was immediately forced to remove them and faced additional disciplinary measures. These incidents underscore the strict enforcement of these rules and the importance placed on uniformity within the Japanese educational system. Do you think this prohibition limits students' personal expression? Or do you think it contributes to a more disciplined environment focused on learning? The strict regulation of accessories in Japanese schools is a reflection of how cultural values prioritize uniformity and respect over individuality, seeking to create a harmonious and distraction-free learning environment. Number 16. All students are cleaners. In Japan, school cleaning is not an exclusive task for janitors. All students actively participate in keeping their educational institutions spotless. This commitment to cleanliness starts from first grade and continues until high school graduation. Every day, for about 15 minutes at the end of the school day, students sweep, mop, and organize common areas. Even the youngest children participate before recess so they can enjoy their free time without worries. This habit not only ensures that Japanese schools are some of the cleanest in the world, but also instills essential values in students such as responsibility and teamwork. By taking responsibility for keeping their environment clean, students learn to value discipline and respect for shared spaces. This practice reflects one of the key aspects of order and respect in Japanese society, where cleanliness is seen as a form of mutual care and consideration for others. Can you imagine students in your country being in charge of the daily cleaning of their schools? Do you think this practice contributes to a more harmonious and responsible environment? Number 15. Respectful greeting. Bowing as a social norm. In Japan, respect is a cornerstone of the culture, and this is prominently reflected in the school environment through respectful greetings. As you walk through the bustling streets of Tokyo, it's common to observe people bowing to each other as a sign of courtesy and deference. This act of bowing goes beyond a simple greeting. It is a deep manifestation of consideration and respect for others. Within schools, this respect is rigorously practiced. Japanese students bow to their teachers in different ways depending on the situation. Upon entering the classroom, they line up and bow to the teacher, demonstrating their gratitude and respect for the lesson that is about to begin. When leaving the classroom, they repeat the gesture, thanking the teacher again for the time and knowledge shared. Even during everyday interactions, like raising a hand to answer a question, students must first get permission from the teacher to speak, thus underscoring their respect for authority. This code of conduct can be complex for foreigners who may not fully understand when and how to bow appropriately. However, for the Japanese, this behavior is natural and essential for maintaining harmony and mutual respect within the school environment. The bowing is not limited to the classroom, it permeates all daily interactions, creating a culture of respect that strengthens interpersonal relationships and fosters a cooperative and mutually respectful environment. Have you ever experienced a culture where respect is expressed in such formal ways? Do you think these gestures of respect strengthen interpersonal relationships, or could they be seen as unnecessarily rigid? The practice of respectful greetings in Japanese schools is a clear reflection of how cultural values shape everyday behavior and promote an environment of cooperation and mutual respect. Number 14. Club activities are a priority in Japanese schools. Extracurricular activities, known as bukatsudo, play a crucial role in student life. Although they are not officially mandatory, most students join a club, considering them a vital extension of their education. At the beginning of each school year, schools organize club fairs to attract new members, using colorful posters and dynamic presentations to explain the various activities available. The clubs in Japan are mainly divided into two broad categories: sports and cultural clubs. In sports clubs, you can typically find disciplines such as kendo, judo, aikido, karate, sumo, and kyudo. These clubs not only promote physical activity, but also instill values such as discipline, respect, and perseverance. On the other hand, cultural clubs cover a wide range of activities, including theater, music bands, art and crafts, choir, and pop music. These clubs encourage creativity, collaboration, and teamwork among students. Some clubs meet only a few times a week, offering flexibility that allows students to balance their academic responsibilities with personal interests. However, other clubs demand much greater commitment, meeting daily, including weekends, to prepare for national competitions and school events. This level of dedication not only improves specific skills within each club, but also strengthens the sense of community and loyalty among members. Although each club has a supervising teacher, students are highly encouraged to be autonomous. They often manage the activities, event organization, and communication within the club without constant supervision. This approach promotes independence, responsibility, and leadership skills, preparing students to face future challenges both academically and personally. Club activities not only enrich the school experience, but also define students and their interests. Participating in a club allows students to discover and develop their talents, make lasting friendships, and learn to work as a team. Additionally, these extracurricular activities are highly valued during university admissions as they demonstrate a commitment and dedication that goes beyond academic grades. Participation in Bukatsudo also develops transferable skills that are essential in adult life, such as time management, conflict resolution, and effective communication. These experiences help students adapt and collaborate in future work environments, making them more competitive and prepared to face various professional challenges. Club activities in Japanese schools are much more than a simple extracurricular option. They are an integral part of the educational process that shapes students into responsible, disciplined individuals who can work effectively as a team. Can you imagine extracurricular activities having such a profound impact on students' development? Do you think this approach could be beneficial if implemented in other educational systems? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know if you've participated in similar activities that have influenced your personal growth. Number 13. White underwear is mandatory. Imagine for a moment that when leaving your house, everyone could see the color of your underwear. It sounds like a total invasion of privacy, right? However, in some Japanese high schools, this is a surprising reality. 138 out of 238 schools in Japan have a strict rule: underwear must be white. This is no joke. It's a serious policy that reflects the high standards of discipline and uniformity in the Japanese educational system. The reason behind this rule is based on preventing discrimination and promoting equality among students. By requiring all underwear to be white, any visible differences that might arise due to economic or fashion reasons are eliminated. Additionally, this rule seeks to maintain a professional and orderly image within the school environment, promoting an atmosphere where the main focus is learning and academic development. The implementation of this rule is extremely strict. Teachers have the authority to inspect students in the locker rooms to ensure compliance with the rule. If a student is found wearing underwear of an incorrect color, they must immediately remove the item on the spot with no exceptions. This level of control may seem excessive, but it is part of a culture of discipline that values obedience and respect for the rules. This practice has generated intense debate both inside and outside Japan. On one hand, some argue that it is a violation of human rights and an invasion of privacy, especially considering that it may affect students' self-esteem and emotional well-being. On the other hand, there are those who defend the rule as a necessary measure to maintain order and uniformity in the school environment. Fortunately, this rule was abolished a few years ago thanks to social pressure and human rights movements that demanded a change in school policies. The removal of this rule marked a significant step forward in recognizing individual rights and protecting students' privacy. Although this rule is no longer in effect, its existence highlights how certain cultural practices can profoundly influence educational structures and students' daily experiences. What do you think about the mandatory white underwear rule in schools? Do you think other cultures could adopt or reject similar rules? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know if you know of other surprising school rules that exist in different parts of the world. Number 12. No substitute teachers. Students. Take control. In many parts of the world, when a teacher is absent, a substitute teacher is expected to take over the class. However, in Japan, this is not the case. If a teacher cannot attend school for any reason, no substitute is sent. Instead, students are responsible for leading the class themselves, completing their schoolwork, and staying focused on their tasks. This might sound like a huge challenge, but in Japan, it is completely normal and expected. Japanese students are trained from an early age to be self-sufficient and to develop great independence. This ability to manage their own time and responsibilities is seen as a crucial skill that will serve them throughout their adult lives. While it might seem strange that students, without the supervision of a teacher, continue with their studies, this approach helps foster a culture of autonomy. However, this raises the question, do students really need a constant teaching figure, or has the Japanese school system become so efficient that students themselves can teach one another? Number 11. The phenomenon of cram schools, juku. In Japan, juku, cram schools, are a crucial part of the education system. Even students who perform well in their regular classes attend these specialized schools to better prepare for entrance exams, which are incredibly competitive and difficult. The traditional education in Japan doesn't cover the content of these exams thoroughly, and because regular classes are overcrowded, often with more than 40 students per class, many students fail to reach the level required to pass. There are two main types of juku. Shingaku juku prepares students to enter high schools, universities, or other challenging academic institutions. Hoshujuku, for students who need additional support to keep up with the pace of regular classes. The juku system reflects the pressure and expectations in Japanese society regarding academic outcomes, and it is common for students to spend extra hours after school in these centers. While some might view this phenomenon as an effective preparation strategy, others criticize the workload and stress it generates. The question is, do students really need these extra schools, or is it the educational system that is failing to adapt better to their needs? Number 10. A bleak summer. Vacations that never rest. Unlike many parts of the world, where summer vacation is the perfect time to relax and enjoy family time, schools in Japan experience a very different summer. While countries like the United States typically have around 3 months of summer break, in Japan, it lasts only 5 weeks, half the time. Moreover, during this period, students don't truly rest. Instead of enjoying the summer, they continue attending school and engaging in club activities. Extracurricular activities do not take a break during the summer. Students involved in sports or cultural clubs continue to train and practice almost daily, even during holidays. For many, these 5 weeks are just the beginning of an ongoing school year, where free time is scarce and the focus on studies and extracurricular activities remains constant. However, there is some limited flexibility. If a student completes all their assignments and actively participates in their club, they may stay out of school and enjoy more time with their family. This structure reflects a Japanese educational culture where commitment and dedication are highly valued. Although it may seem like an added burden for many, others see it as a way to strengthen skills such as discipline and responsibility. Can you imagine spending nearly the entire summer working or training instead of relaxing? Do you think this approach better prepares students for the future, or does it simply overload them? Number 9. Hair must be black. One of the most surprising aspects of Japanese school rules is the restriction on hair color. The rules specify that students' hair must be black, which creates a peculiar situation when students naturally have blonde hair. In such cases, school authorities require parents to provide evidence that the natural color is indeed blonde, allowing the student not to be forced to dye it. However, if a student decides to dye their hair another color, like blonde, they face severe penalties. For instance, in 2017, a student was forced to dye her hair black. After protesting, she was removed from her class, and her roots were inspected, which led to a lawsuit over mental distress. Although the court ruled that the school had the right to enforce this rule, the incident sparked a debate about how aesthetic regulations affect students' emotional well-being. Number 8. No romantic relationships in school. In many cultures, it's common for students to experience their first loves during their school years, but in Japan, romantic relationships between students are strictly prohibited within school boundaries. This rule, although it may seem a bit extreme, has a clear purpose: to keep students focused on their studies. School authorities ensure that there are no public displays of affection, such as holding hands, and any romantic behavior must be discreet and kept out of sight. If a student is caught in a relationship, the consequences can be severe. In fact, a girl was expelled for being in a romantic relationship. What may appear to be a strict rule to maintain school discipline also has a darker side. Romantic relationships between students often involve dynamics of control and violence. A survey revealed that 33% of female students reported that their boyfriends imposed strict restrictions on them, such as limiting their time with friends, deleting contacts from their phones, or even forbidding them from going out. These controlling relationships reflect the Japanese school culture, where rules and social pressure leave little room for personal freedom in romantic interactions. Is this control necessary to maintain order? Or should there be more freedom for teenagers in their personal relationships? Number 7. Punctuality is a sacred virtue. In Japan, punctuality is not just a courtesy, it's a matter of honor. Here's a surprising example. In 2018, a Japanese train left 25 seconds earlier than the scheduled time. In any other place, this might have been seen as a simple mistake, but in Japan, it was an unforgivable incident. The railway company publicly apologized, and all employees involved received training to prevent something like this from happening again. Can you imagine something like this happening in your country? Punctuality is a fundamental principle in Japan. Not only are the trains precise, but Japanese people are known for arriving early to everything, from work meetings to school. A Japanese student would never be late for class. They would rather skip lunch than cause any discomfort by being late. This time, culture reflects a deep respect for others and the importance of not keeping anyone waiting. If you ever have an appointment with someone from Japan, be prepared to arrive before the agreed time because they will already be there. Doesn't this dedication to time seem incredible? Number 6. No ponytails allowed. What may seem like the most common and simple hairstyle, a ponytail, is completely banned in some Japanese schools. The reason? It may surprise you. They believe the ponytail is a hairstyle that can provoke immorality among students, especially girls. The justification from school authorities is that this hairstyle exposes the neck, which, they say, excites male students. While it may be hard to believe, this rule is part of an effort to maintain a decent environment in schools. What do you think? Have you ever heard something so strange about a hairstyle? Number 5. Sasumata to the rescue. In Japanese schools, safety is taken very seriously. Despite being one of the safest countries in the world, Japan has a curious school security device, the Sasumata. This is a forked spear that samurai used in feudal Japan to capture criminals without causing harm. Today, the Sasumata is still used by the police and in some schools to protect students and staff. The Sasumata looks like a giant fork with 2 prongs, and its purpose is to prevent intruders from approaching those holding it. While it may seem like something out of an action movie, its function is very serious: to stop unarmed individuals who might pose a threat to the school's security. Although it is rare to find armed intruders in Japan, many schools keep this tool as part of their security protocol. It's undoubtedly a unique preventative measure that demonstrates Japan's commitment to protecting its educational institutions. Number 4. Mandatory school uniforms. In many countries, students are free to choose their clothing, but in Japan, wearing a school uniform is a non-negotiable rule. Whether in public or private schools, all students must wear a uniform that symbolizes equality and discipline. No matter your parents' socio-economic status, once you put on the uniform, all students are equal. Moreover, the uniform is not just attire, but an educational tool. Students are expected to wear it with pride, and failure to do so can lead to disciplinary action. The uniform typically includes a white shirt, pleated skirt or shorts, and features traditional colors like navy and white. This design emphasizes practicality and simplicity, and it is easy to maintain. The uniforms are made from materials that dry quickly, so there's no excuse for not following the rule. If a student shows up wearing something out of the ordinary, they're likely to face consequences. Can you imagine wearing a uniform every day? What would your opinion be if you lived in Japan? Number 3. Mandatory swimming classes. In many countries, swimming is an optional activity, but in Japan, it is a compulsory subject. From the early years of school, Japanese children learn to swim, and by the time they reach middle school, they do it with great skill. Not only does this help them stay in shape, swimming is one of the best activities for the body, but it also teaches them life-saving skills. Japan has made swimming a requirement, not just for its health benefits, but also because having aquatic skills can make a difference in emergency situations, such as drowning accidents. This rule saves lives and prepares students to handle critical situations calmly. No one wants to be a victim of a water phobia when safety is at risk, right? Number 2. Failing is not an option. The Japanese educational system might surprise you. In many countries, when students don't perform well, they repeat the school year or even attend summer classes to catch up. But in Japan, the rules are very different. Students automatically move up to the next grade, regardless of their grades or exam results. Sounds too easy, right? But don't get too excited. Although they don't have to repeat grades, academic performance is still crucial when it comes to entering high schools or universities. The social and familial pressure in Japan is intense, and students strive to maintain good grades, not because they'll have to repeat a grade, but because academic success is essential for moving forward in life. As a result, failing is extremely rare, as Japanese culture places a strong emphasis on education and maintaining high performance standards. What do you think of this approach? Would you like to have a policy like this in your country? Number 1. Cell phones are banned. In the digital age, it's hard to imagine a day without our mobile phones. They've become an essential part of our lives. But in Japan, the story is different. Despite how deeply integrated phones are in daily life, Japanese schools have decided to keep them out of classrooms. Since 2009, mobile phones have been banned in elementary and secondary schools, and while this may seem like a drastic measure, the Japanese have their reasons. To them, phones represent a distraction and are not welcome in an environment where concentration is highly valued. However, this rule was reconsidered after the 2018 Osaka earthquake, when authorities saw the potential of phones in emergency situations. While the benefits of mobile phones are undeniable, do you think this ban is still relevant in today's world? We've taken a journey through 20 unbelievable Japanese school rules, from the strict uniformity in hair color to the active participation of students in daily cleaning. Each of these rules reflects a unique educational culture that values discipline, respect, and teamwork in surprising and sometimes controversial ways. What do you think about these rules? Do you believe some could be beneficial in other educational systems? Let us know your opinion in the comments. Subscribe for more fascinating content about cultures from around the world, and like this video if you were shocked by these rules. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.